Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the story of an unsung hero of the skies. A plane that was clunky, over-engineered, and initially disliked by its pilots, but went on to become the most lethal American aircraft of World War II. No, it's not the Mustang or the Corsair. We're talking about the Grumman TBF Avenger. How did this seemingly awkward torpedo bomber achieve a kill-to-loss ratio higher than any other US plane in the war? The story begins with a man named Leroy Grumman, the genius behind the Grumman Iron Works. His philosophy was simple: build planes so tough they could bring their pilots home no matter what. This wasn't just a business motto, it was a personal mission. Grumman's designs were famous for their ruggedness, often featuring manual crank-operated backup systems for everything. If the hydraulics failed, a pilot could literally hand crank the landing gear down or fold the wings. This made the planes heavy and some would say overly complicated. When the US Navy needed a new torpedo bomber to replace the aging Douglas TBD Devastator, Grumman stepped up. His team designed the TBF, or Torpedo Bomber, experimental by Grumman, and it was a beast. It was the first torpedo bomber to feature an internal bomb bay, which was revolutionary. This meant it could carry a 2,000-pound torpedo or a variety of bombs internally, making it much more streamlined in flight than its predecessors, whose torpedoes dangled awkwardly underneath. It also sported a power-operated dorsal turret with a 50 caliber machine gun, forward-firing machine gun, and a ventral 30 caliber Stinger gun for defense. But all these features, plus Grumman's signature toughness, came at a cost: complexity and weight. Pilots transitioning from the nimbler Devastator found the Avenger to be a handful. It was big, heavy, and felt more like a truck than a fighter plane. The cockpit was a dizzying array of dials, levers, and cranks. The famous manual wing folding mechanism, for example, required the pilot to perform a sequence of 27 distinct steps. Forget one, and you could seriously damage the aircraft. It's no wonder many early pilots were skeptical. They saw a plane that seemed to prioritize survivability over performance. The Avenger's combat debut was nothing short of a disaster, which only reinforced these early doubts. At the pivotal Battle of Midway in June 1942, 6 brand-new TBF Avengers took off to intercept the Japanese fleet. Tragically, 5 were shot down almost immediately. The lone survivor returned, riddled with holes, its torpedo failing to hit its target. It was a brutal introduction to warfare. For any other aircraft, this might have been the end of the line. But the Navy saw something else. They saw that one plane, despite being mauled by Japanese Zeros, had made it back. The Grumman philosophy of toughness had been proven under the most extreme conditions. The key to unlocking the Avenger's potential wasn't about changing the plane, it was about changing the tactics. The initial doctrine of slow, low-level torpedo runs was a death sentence against heavy anti-aircraft fire and nimble fighters. The Navy realized that the Avenger's true strength wasn't just as a torpedo bomber. Its large internal bay, long range, and rugged airframe made it an incredibly versatile multi-role aircraft. It was a jack of all trades, and soon it would master them all. The Avenger became a master of anti-submarine warfare. Outfitted with early airborne radar and depth charges, these turkeys, as they were nicknamed for their clumsy-looking landings, became the bane of German U-boats in the Atlantic. They could loiter for hours, methodically hunting their underwater prey. In fact, Avenger crews were credited with sinking 30 submarines, including one that was famously sunk with rockets after it surfaced. That's right, an Avenger took on a submarine in a surface gunfight and won. In the Pacific, the Avenger's role evolved dramatically. As the US gained air superiority, the need for risky torpedo runs against heavily defended fleets diminished. Instead, the Avenger became a precision strike weapon. It was perfect for glide bombing, a technique where the pilot would enter a steep dive towards the target before releasing their bombs, offering much greater accuracy than level bombing. Its payload of 4 500-pound bombs was devastating against ground targets, bunkers, and enemy shipping. One of the Avenger's most famous pilots was none other than future President George H.W. Bush. On a mission in 1944, his Avenger was hit by anti-aircraft fire, and the engine caught fire. Despite the flames and smoke filling the cockpit, he completed his bombing run on the target before bailing out. His 2 crewmates were tragically lost, but Bush survived, rescued by a US submarine. His story, and countless others like it, cemented the Avenger's reputation as a plane that would fight to the very end to protect its crew. So, how did it get the best kill ratio? The secret lies in what we count as a kill. While fighters racked up air-to-air victories, the Avenger's kill count was far more diverse. Every submarine sunk, every tank destroyed, every supply ship sent to the bottom, every bunker obliterated, they all counted. The Avenger was a logistical nightmare for the enemy. It didn't just shoot down planes, it destroyed the very capacity of the enemy to wage war. When you add up all the ships, submarines, tanks, and ground installations destroyed per aircraft lost, the Avenger's ratio is staggering. The numbers are truly mind-boggling. Over its service life, nearly 10,000 Avengers were built. They flew from the decks of every U.S. carrier class in the war. For every one Avenger lost in combat, they were responsible for sinking an incredible amount of enemy tonnage and destroying countless high-value targets. This incredible effectiveness came from its versatility. It could be a torpedo bomber one day, a submarine hunter the next, and a close air support platform the day after that. This flexibility meant it was always in the fight, always contributing in a meaningful way. Leroy Grumman's overengineered, overcomplicated design had been vindicated. The heavy armor, the redundant systems, the manual crank saw, the things that made pilots grumble, were the very things that brought them home. A pilot in a damaged Mustang might have to bail out, but a pilot in a damaged Avenger could often limp hundreds of miles back to the carrier, sometimes with huge chunks of the airframe missing. That survivability meant experienced crews lived to fight another day, becoming more and more effective with each mission. In the end, the Grumman TBF Avenger proved that the flashiest, fastest, or most agile plane isn't always the most effective. Sometimes the most valuable player is the tough, reliable workhorse that shows up every day and gets the job done no matter what. It was a plane built not just to fight, but to survive, and in doing so, it became the most lethal American weapon in the sky. A true testament to the genius of Ironworks engineering. What do you all think? Are there other underrated aircraft from history that deserve more recognition? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button. And subscribe to the channel for more stories from the history of aviation. We'll see you in the next one.